Welcome everyone to Sudbury Talks with Gwen Price. And I'm so happy to have as my guest today Dr. Theresa Turmel. Hi Theresa.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Well, thank you for coming all the way from Sturgeon Falls.
Yes. You're welcome.
Yeah, we wanted to talk today. We met not long ago and we kind of chatted and I was fascinated by what you're doing. You're writing a book. And what's the book about?
Well, I'm actually finished writing it's my first book.
That's exciting. I can't even imagine.
I can't either. Actually, yes, it has been very, very exciting. But it's been like since 1991, so I've gotten used to the idea. Yeah. But the process has so many challenges. You know, as a writer, you submit information, your manuscript to a publisher. And then you have to wait a considerable amount of time before you find out whether they accept it or reject it. Mm-hmm. So I went through that process a few times, and it can be frustrating.
Yeah, no doubt.
But I made a commitment to a fairly large group of residential school students, or former students, survivors of the notorious residential school system here in Canada.
So that's what the book is about, about the experiences of
yes,
that? Yeah.
Yes, it is the life experiences of 13 survivors who went to residential school. Some of them went to maybe 3 residential schools, but the individuals all came from Walpole Island First Nation.
Where's that located?
It's in the channel, like below Sarnia. 20 minutes. Okay. You have to go over a bridge to get to, and there's more than one island down there. There's several islands.
Okay.
But Walpole Island First Nation is an independent First Nation, and it's just gorgeous. Just gorgeous there.
It's nice in that part of the province, isn't it?
Well, you see the big boats, the big ocean liners, I guess, shipping boats. You see them go by, and I love that. I could sit there all day and just watch these boats. Yeah. But I was invited into the community by the residential school liaison. Her name is Susie Jones, but she passed into the spirit world in July of last year.
Because you're not from that part of the province,
no,
are you?
I am not.
Where are you from originally?
Well, my mom's territory is Michipicoten First Nation, and that is located about 20 minutes south of Wawa, Ontario.
Okay, yeah.
So that's my mom's territory, and that's the band that I belong to.
Okay. So you ended up meeting these people from Sarnia, and was that just through, how did that happen?
Well, I love school.
Yeah, I know, I went for a long time too.
Well, I didn't go to grade 13. I'm actually from Toronto. I grew up in Toronto.
Okay.
But every summer my mom would take us out of Toronto and bring us up to Wawa Hawk Junction. That's because that's where she grew up.
Right.
And we would spend the whole summer there, and we did it for every summer of growing up. Mm. And I came to love, the water, the beach, the land, the plants, the bush. It just felt like home for me.
Yeah.
So I had that experience of loving being around the north more than being in Toronto, and Toronto at the time wasn't as big as it is now. Yeah, but I don't like the concrete.
Yeah.
So when I got older and graduated from high school, by the way, I just regretted not going to grade 13 at the time, and I used to have like dreams of being a grade 13.
Yeah.
That's how much the education experience stuck with me, and I really loved going to high school. I went to an all-girls Catholic high school, Notre Dame High School in Toronto.
Okay.
And but I always loved going up to, Hawk Junction. So once I got a job, I bought a car, and I used to go on the weekend, mind you, driving all that way and then all the way back.
Wow.
That's when I had lots of energy.
Yeah, when you're young,
a lot younger.
That, eh?
Well, then I fell in love, and that was the end of the job. So I actually moved to Hawk Junction and ended up having a son, and then my husband died. So I grew up very quickly at age 22
Wow.
with a 9-month-old baby.
Oh my goodness,
Yes.
that's a lot to deal with at that age.
And
eh?
he was building a house in Hawk Junction for us to live in.
Oh.
So I asked my brother if he would finish it for me. I had three older brothers, but my older brother finished the house for us, and my son and I moved in there. And a year later, I met this other gentleman, and ended up falling in love again. Never thought that was going to happen, because
Yeah.
once you think, your first
Yeah.
love is gone, and
Yeah.
like it's over for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I ended up meeting this other gentleman, Michel, and we got married, and we had 2 children, 2 girls ourselves. And then he got a job in Sault Ste. Marie, and I didn't want to move because I own my house. And as a realtor,
Yeah.
you don't
Yeah.
just own houses, right?
Yeah.
So he convinced me to move to Sault Ste. Marie. So I took the opportunity to go to, it was Algoma University
Right.
College at the
Right.
time, because it was Laurentian University's, affiliate.
Yeah.
So at the time, I was able to get funding. I went to Algoma University, and while I was there, I found out about this Shingwalk alumni gathering,
Okay.
and I'm like, well, why are they coming here? This
Yeah.
is Algoma University,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so I found out horribly that the university I was going into or attending
Mhm.
was actually a residential school. It was Shingwalk Residential School.
Oh, really?
And then I started to hear everything that happened, the horrible situation that occurred there, and I was stunned. I couldn't believe it, and some of the horrendous things that were coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the second residential school gathering. I was asked to be the registrar, and who's going to find out people and their names is the registrar.
Right, exactly.
So I took on that volunteer opportunity, and that's how I met all the thousands of people that I met that went to residential schools, because it evolved. From 1991, it just evolved into a huge gathering. People from different schools came there, even though they
Okay.
didn't go to
Yeah,
that
to that
school. And it just, at one point, one of the gatherings, we had 500 people.
Wow.
So I kept that relationship with the Children of Shingwalk Alumni Association.
Okay.
That's what they called themselves.
Mm.
And even today, they're still there. But
Yeah.
a lot of the founders, some of them are passed on now. They're in the spirit world.
Well, and I probably, when we talked before, as a white woman growing up in in lively part of the city of Greater Sudbury, I had no idea that just up the road was a residential school. I found out that now. I'm in my 60s. So I was very isolated from all of that, and had no idea. And maybe there was something said about it, but I wouldn't even have understood what a residential school was.